Welcome to Brecon 4, a planet recovering from an uprising. A chaos, brutal uprising. The Imperial forces managed to defend the planet and reclaim it from the renegade forces. This planet is healing. Imperial forces are still stationed here, but the main battle force has moved on. As the planet is rebuilding, more supplies are being dropped off. More supplies than anyone could need. Supplies to rebuild a planet or to reinforce a lost chapter. A lost chapter such as the 13th cannot resist such a temptation. So they've made planetfall on this planet with the Kitrin regiment able to defend somewhat against the force. They have called in reinforcements from the Red Scorpions, and the Red Scorpions have answered. So here on this battlefield, the renegade forces of the 13th and the Penitent Forge will be battling against the Red Scorpions and the Kitrin Armoured Regiment. Who will be victorious at the end? We will see. Let's have a look at the forces that are coming today. This is Dom and Tom from Blacktoad Studios, and here is our 7,000 points of Imperial Guard and Red Scorpions. And today we are fighting against Winter's SEO and the force he's bringing. So we've got an apocalypse game. We've got two forces. I'm going to run through the guard force first. So we have got a battalion detachment. We've got at the front here 2 tank commanders, one in a Vanquisher with multi-motors and las cannon, one in a standard demolisher. We've got 3 heavy choices here in tank squadrons. So run them down individually. We've got an executioner there with plasmas on the sponsons and a las cannon, standard Russ with a las cannon and a heavy stubber, a demolisher with a hunter killer, exterminator with heavy bolter sponsons and one in the front. We've got another 2 standard Russes with las cannons and hunter killers. We've got a standard Russ there with a las cannon and heavy stubber, and we've got a Punisher there with heavy bolter sponsons. Over on the left, we have got part of our fast choice. So we've got a squadron of 3 armoured sentinels with 2 plasma cannons and a multi-laser. We've got our super heavy auxiliary at the back here, Shadow Sword with a las cannon, sponsons and heavy bolters. Back here we've got our troop choice. So we've got 3 squads of 10 guardsmen in chimeras. Each chimera has got heavy bolters and a heavy stubber. Moving over, we have got a commissar all the way down there with a power sword and bolt gun. We've got a Vendetta gunship here. Moving up, we've got the Trojan support vehicle and an engine seer there. We've got 2 salamanders here. This is a scout vehicle with the autocannon heavy bolter, and this is a command vehicle with a heavy bolter and a heavy flamer. So that is a guard element there. So we've got 3 command points from this force. Moving over, we have Tom and his Red Scorpion. So Tom, do you want to run through what we've got here?
Certainly can. So we've got a battalion.
Yep.
Which is this, mainly this bit in the middle. I'll go for that quickly. So leading the battalion, we have a captain here.
Yep.
Not going to upgrade him, just going to keep him simple captain. And then in front of him here, we've got some Primaris Marines here, or intercessors. And then we have a tank squad in Rhino, and then a tank squad in Rhino.
Okay.
We have 4 scout squads down here. Actually, no, sorry, it's 3 scout squads to tell a lie because there was too many for the battalion, so I put the snipers all in one squad in the end.
Okay, so both snipers are in one squad, and the shotguns and the bolters are in 2 separate squads there.
Yeah. And then just over here, we have an aggressor squad with them as well, which has got the Flamestorm cannons on it.
Very nice.
And then over to the middle here, we have Cullen as the second HQ. We have 3 dreadnoughts here. We've got 2 contemptors, and also we have a redemptor. They're all armed as they look like, so I won't go into too much detail. And at the back over here for heavy choice, we have a Land Raider Helios, and then up here in the flyer slot we have a Cestus Assault Ram.
Very nice.
And then we add on a Vanguard detachment, which is this little bubble here. So we have leading it a captain in Cataphracti armour, and then we have 2 Honour Guard, or there's one unit, and then we have a chapter Ancient and a Chapter Champion.
Yep.
And then over here we have a Primaris Apothecary, a standard apothecary, and a 6-man Terminator squad. I have also put on the captain the Burning Blade as his relic choice.
There we go. So how many command points are you bringing there?
I'll be bringing 4 extra.
4 extra. So with your 4, my 3, and of course it being a bound list altogether, we in fact have 10 command points. Now it's a very nice force. Let's have a look to see what Winters is going to bring.
Right guys, it's Winters. This is 7,000 points worth of AdMech and Space Marines, the Penitent Forge and the 13th. So Warlord for the army will be Belisarius Kuhl, aka Designate 17, the 17th Archmagos Dominus. Of the Penitent Forge, we follow the Mars Forge World Dogma. So his Warlord trait is a 9-inch bubble. His bubble for re-rolling everything goes out by a further 9 inches, and you get 2 canticles a turn every turn. So instead of that 1 canticle goodness like Shroud Psalm, you can get 2. You can get Shroud Psalm and something else every single turn. It's very good. And this is a battalion, and there's 2 HQs and a ton of troops. And we have a spearhead. That's the shooty one, the heavy one in the background. I don't know if the guys from Blacktoad mentioned it, but what we're doing is full squads only. So in the troops, we've got full squad of robots, plasma calivers, full squad of Vanguard, Rangers. The Vanguard, everything's WYSIWYG here. There's arc rifles and plasma calivers in there. Tech Priest Dominus with his Volkite blaster. So those are all the troops. And then a 6-man squad of the Robots of Doom, all with the heavy phosphor blasters. This is going to be frightening. Each of them chuck out 9 shots. If they stand still, they could do 18 shots. It can be doubled, times 6, 18 times, I don't even know. That's a lot of shots. There's a cybernetic data smith as well. So I would kill these guys. Mind you, I'd probably go for the Warhound or the Onager Dune Crawlers in the background. This is a spearhead detachment. There's a Tech Priest Engineer here. All of these guys have got neutron lasers, twin Cognis stubbers, because they're just good. And of course, the bad Warhound Titan, the Dying of the Light, with his plasma blast gun and his other, well, the one that used to be the D, I think it's called the dual turbo laser destructor. Hits on a 2s, 4-up void shield saves. You can take void shields to mortal wounds. It's nasty, and I really don't want him blowing up in my lines, because it would be frightening. Essentially what we've got here is we've got a big shooty mess with the Warhound and some bubble wrap going on. And then we have the 13th, and I'm going to be using Ironhand's Chapter Tactics because it's really easy to remember. Oh, relics. The auto Carduceus of Archenland on that guy there, which is re-roll healing vehicles. Okay, back to the 13th. So yeah, Ironhand's Chapter Tactics because it's just easy to remember. And this is a battalion and a flyer wing. And in the battalion we have a lieutenant and a chaplain. And what I'm doing here is there's 3 units of scouts, sniper scouts, close combat scouts, shooty scouts, and they make up the troops slot. And the idea is the chaplain and the ironclad dreadnought there with his siege hammer, melter, storm bolter jump inside the storm raven gunship. That's the idea anyway. And 20 Terminators teleport in and meet them perfectly in the middle of the battlefield. So the ironclad jump out with the chaplain, and then the Terminators are all around them teleporting in. What could possibly go wrong? We've got 10 shooty Terminators, Cyclone Missile Launcher Heavy Flamer, and 8 Assault Terminators. There's claws on 2 of them. The sergeant hasn't got a helmet on either of these because sergeants don't wear helmets. That's what Hollywood says. And then in the background we have 2 Storm Talon gunships for close air support, Skyhammers, assault cannons. Assault cannons for hitting the grounds with strafing runs, Skyhammers for hitting anything in the air. So quite an aggressive list by the 13th here, with the scouts spreading forward and being able to bubble wrap or being able to camp on objectives. And then quite a defensive force by the Penitent Forge. Very classic hammer and anvil type of list here. 7,000 points. It's going to be brutal.
Right, so both sides have now deployed. We are doing a race to destruction. We've got 6 objectives across the battlefield. So let's have a quick look to see where they are. We've got 1 down here by the Titan. 1 over here being held by the scouts at the container. Over towards the centre, we've got a few here. We've got 1 in the middle, as we have the AdMech forces there, and the guard lined up here to race into the centre. We've got 1 there. 1 being held currently by the scouts in the building. And we've got 1 over here at the moment. So both sides have deployed. We've got a big line of armour down here from the Guard and Scorpions, and across we have a large element of the AdMech here. We got the flying wing over here, and there's a lot of Terminators in reserve. So let's see who goes first. So, do you want to roll some dice, people? So Tom.
Got +1 to this.
+1 for Blacktoad Studios. So it's a 2. Good stuff, Tom. All right, Winters. There we go. Straight on it. Okay, so see if we can seize. Oh no. So, over to turn 1 for the AdMech and the 13th.
Here we are after the movement phase for the Penitent Forge and the 13th, and not a lot moved. The big question in my hand was whether I drop 20 Terminators in from Deep Strike Reserve or not. And in the end, I decided to keep them in my pocket, mainly because I wasn't thinking that I didn't expect to go first, but I went first. And so there's nothing to respond to from the opponent's army yet. I could have slammed them down here and really pressurized this flank, because the enemy warlord is in there, and he looked at me funny. And there's some guys in the Land Raider there as well. But essentially the flyers are coming on this way, because then if they survive, they can strafe all the way along the front line. It's as simple as that. Flyers on one flank, strafe along that way, or flyers on that way, strafe right to left instead. As we can see, the Castle of Doom in the middle has stayed still. I've overridden the protocol on the robot, so they will be firing twice next turn. I've moved some scouts forward. I've moved some rangers forward, and that's it. I thought about dropping the Terminators in here as well, because there's a triple dreadnought threat, and a Rhino there, and a Rhino over there, and not a lot covering the Titan. Not a lot. But in the end, decided to keep it in my pocket and pull the trigger, try and blast away these loyalists. I don't know, it's Civil War. And then I've got some Terminators ready to drop in later if I need to. Sorry, Dom, what was that? What?
A dual laser turbo destructor.
That's exactly what the Warhound did and made Dom cry, because he fired across the table and took out that Shadow Sword with first blood. And then the other plasma blast gun took out one of the tanks, and as we can see, there's a big tank space in the middle of the table. I think you lost 3 or 4 Lehman Russes.
3 Russes.
But we're talking about neutron lasers, heavy phosphor blasters, plasma calibers coming in, smashing all the way along the front line. These Minotaurs were blown out of their Rhino. There's a Commissar here with only a few guys left in, because of course, after I blew them out of their Rhino, there were quad bolters and thunderfire cannons and sniper rounds coming in. Oh my. Basically, a lot of Dakar took a chunk out of the middle of the table. And then after I did all of that, the flyer wing opened up down here, and I didn't manage to crack open the Land Raider. I didn't manage to spray a lot of the guys that came out of... What did they come out of? They didn't come out of anything. They're on foot to start with. They took 36 assault cannon shots coming into them, and I think it killed 3. And then, of course, the Skyhammer launchers from the 2 Storm Talons went into the cast assault ram, and it only took 2 damage as well. So the Minotaurs managing to survive Melter fire, Stormstruck fire, assault cannon fire up this end of the battle grid, proving sterner stuff. However, the Guard...
Sad times.
The Guard didn't do so well. However, there's going to be a couple of assaults coming on, and there's going to be a scout off here. My close combat scouts versus... Oh no, those are shooty scouts versus his shooty scouts. Might as well get them in there. And my close combat scouts down in the city ruins versus these sniper scouts here. So, let's go on to the charge phase. Okay, charges failed. I lost a scout in this squad here to Overwatch. Didn't lose any scouts when I charged in here, or failed to charge in here. Talking about losing models, I should mention that the big squad of destroyers, Cataphront destroyers, I did overcharge their guns to help pop open Chimeras and Rhinos, and one of them died, despite having the rerolls from Designate 17 there, Belisarius Call. I am within 9-inch range. So I did get a reroll, but a 1 becomes a 1. Anyway, we've got some morale tests to make. This squad of Minotaurs are fine because they only lost a couple. This squad of Inceptors up here lost 3. So basically, you don't need to roll. Don't want to roll a 6, and that's a 6. And a reroll with They Shall Know No Fear. Okay. No, that's fine. And then you've got this squad here that can use the Commissar's leadership. I think you lost 6 guys.
Yeah, here we go. That is not good.
No, that's a 6. The Geeks guys. That's everyone else is dead. 6 plus 6 is 12.
Yeah,
what's
so D3 casualties.
Okay.
Oh, that's better. So 2 dead.
Just 2 flee, despite the Commissar shooting them in the head. And that is the end of Winter's SEO Turn 1. We have the Super Heavy down. We have 4 Layman Russes gone pop. We have transports exploding across the line. However, there is a weak spot on this side of the battle grid. There's not a lot of buffer in front of the Warhound Titan. So there are opportunities to push back here for the boys from Blacktoad Studios. Let's go on to their Turn 1.
Turn 1 for the Scorpions and the Imperial Guard. Right, so on our movement phase here, obviously we've lacked our Titan Killer there, which is a bit of a shame. The Salamanders moved up here towards that objective. These men are pushed up to get underneath the Storm Raven. I'm not sure why they want to do that, but they moved up here. These tanks pretty much stayed where they are to put some firepower in here. These ones have moved up here. This one's staying stationary. The Vendetta gunship has gone over the building. It's going to do a potential strafing run along the back lines, although that's not probably going to work. Over here, 2 guardsmen charging forwards with the Commissar. The Marines as well, moving up through the trench line towards the enemy lines. Tom has had a moment of genius or madness, and this, I'm not sure what his plan is.
I'm going with genius.
Genius, potential genius.
If it's 5 for shooting, it's charging. I'll put it on camera.
Yeah, all right, so yeah, good luck with that. And over here, Cullen and his bodyguards are moving up along the street, also towards the Titan of target, and of course it's the biggest target on the board and will be taken out shortly. So we're going to move on to Turn 1 shooting and see if the Guard and the Scorpions are able to do any damage in return. Right, so Turn 1 shooting for the Loyalists, I like to call them, the Red Scorpions and the Guard. So shooting wise, we had a lot of fire from various sources down here, from the Salamander, from the Marines, the Dreadnought, the Lamb Raider, the Chimera and the Salamander over there. They went into the air support here and we took them out of the skies, which is quite nice, leaving the Chaplain and Dreadnought down here to face it off against the Marines. Over here, the Vendetta did 6 shots. I think only 1 actually got through over there onto that walker there, doing a couple of wounds. Moving over to the centre, we had the Demolishers here fire their cannons as they were in range into the infantry there, thinning them out significantly. The heavy bolters fired into the robots, causing a bit of damage on there. Over here as well, the Executioner fired everything it had into the robots, taking 2 of that squad out there. Moving over here, we had the command tank fire the first shot of a salvo across into the Titan. Winters, what's your Titan's name?
It was, Dying of the Light.
The Dying of the Light, yeah.
More than a salvo, there was a lot of fire falling down on it from all angles. 11 wounds gone. So
yeah, we had 11 wounds in total. We had the assault ramp firing in, did 6 wounds there. We had the Punisher, and we also had the Lehman Russ down here firing in, as well as the Dreadnoughts. Everything we could over here, put it down a 1 bracket, which is going to help hopefully in the long run. The Sentinels here fired over, down, over here, killing off 2 of these guys. So we did a fair bit of damage in the shooting. We've taken a few off the nasty units there. We did some brackets of 1 bracket of damage to the Titan and taking out the whole air support element here. So we're going to move into assault now. Hopefully the scouts might be able to do something down here and knock out the 13th scouts there. And I believe Tom is thinking about an assault over here as well. So let's move on to Turn 1, assault for the Loyalists. Right, turn 1 assault for the Scorpions and Guard, and these guys charged in, did nothing to the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought just killed 2 with great ease. Over here, the scouts charged round the corner, and 2 of the Scorpion scouts were butchered by the 13th, luring them into a trap. The Scorpions weren't able to do anything, and unfortunately cut down as they charged around. Moving on to the morale, everything was good. Unfortunately, 2 of these failed in morale, fell in morale. So, that's it. We're going to move on now into turn 2 for Winters.
So here we are after the movement phase for the heroes of the 13th and the Penitent Forge, and I wanted to drop in all my Terminators up this end, but there's Minotaurs, Red Scorpions there, and Scouts in this Fortress of Redemption. There's a lot of deep strike denial going on here, probably through accident more than design. So the Hammonators are on this side here. There is an objective there, and that is the enemy Warlord. And I'm happy to attract lots and lots of firepower up this end of the battlefield as I try to rampage forward and kill everything. The choice for the Terminators was really left or right, and I've decided left. The other squad are here, and the Scouts have fallen out of combat with the Red Scorpion Scouts, so they should be able to rinse them with their Stormbolters. And there is another objective right on the Fortress of Redemption there, and here in the middle of the table by the crashed Aquila. So there's plenty of objectives for these 20 Terminators to sink their teeth into. And now I need the middle of my castle to essentially blow away everything in the middle. Perhaps I shouldn't be talking out loud like this, because that leaves this corner rather largely undefended. But that's the plan. I have got the Decimator protocol on effect on these robots. They will be firing twice this turn, but I've overridden it one more time to go back to the Aegis protocol. Belisarius Call healed 3 wounds on this Onager Dune Crawler, and for this turn for Canticles of the Omnissiah, I have Shroud's Arm again, and reroll hit rolls of 1. So anything outside of Tech Priest Dominus range will be re-rolling their shots, re-rolling 1s. And as you can see, there is screens coming up to block the Titan. We have a screen of Rangers, screen of Vanguard. We have a screen of Scouts because there's some nasty inside that flyer. We have some more Vanguard over there. So I'm essentially bubble wrapping the Dying of the Light, the Warhound Titan. And these forces here are going to attempt to sacrifice their souls while I clear away the rest of the Imperial Guard forces, mainly the Imperial Guard forces. And my thinking behind that is that's mainly Dom's forces. So, and Tom's much nicer. If you ever meet these guys in public, you can go and shake Tom's hand, no problem whatsoever. But Dom will go for your kneecaps. Stay away from that.
True story.
Here we are after the shooting phase for the Penitent Forge and the 13th, and it wasn't as successful this turn. It was much, much worse. Worse, that's a word now. Shooting. Neutron lasers essentially were the 2 that could see were picking on the Land Raider over here with the command squad in it next to the Red Scorpions HQ, and didn't blow it up. It took the Titan. It took the Warhound, its BDI, putting a hole straight through it to take it down. And then the other neutron lasers had to go at Lehman Russ battle tanks and didn't kill them either. So last turn, I think each of these models picked a target and destroyed it. This turn, not so much. And then the plasma, so one of the shots from the Dying of the Light took out to the Land Raider over there, and the plasma blast gun from the top of the Warhound injured the flyer, the Castus assault ram, did not destroy it. So then the robots and the Cataphron destroyers had yet to fire. And I had to split fire left and right and all over the place, and eventually took the flyer down. So the flyer down, the Land Raider down. Some shots went to the left to take out a tank. Some shots went to the right to take out the aggressors in the squad, splitting fire all over the place. I spent a command point for elimination volley because there's a unit of robots and a unit of destroyers within 6 inches of each other. That gets their ballistic skill from a 4-up to a 3-up. And both units are within 9 inches of Belisarius' Call, aka D17. So they were hitting on 3s, re-rolling. So they did much more damage than the neutron lasers from the Onaga Dune crawlers. However, having said all that, I've killed some aggressors, I've killed a flyer, I've killed a tank, I've killed a land raider. I haven't killed as much this turn because those neutron lasers didn't do what they were expected to do. So now we got some there was a few other things as well. I mean, these scouts in the middle, they took a rinse of Stormbolter fire from the Terminators here. And some of Dom's tanks are very injured, where you can see the dice. The tanks are steaming, tanks are smoking. This Punisher back here is on, say, 4 wounds left. Long story short, big spray of firepower from right to left, trying to clear out the middle. And now we've got some charges going on. We've got some Terminators up this end are going to try and go in and pull themselves forward. Now, and the decision I was just looking at, the thing I was just thinking at was, do I charge in with the Rangers here? Now, I could let the Terminators come charging in and shoot an assault and get closer, but say they rinse them away in the shooting phase, even though I have Shroud's Arm, they could potentially be in charge range of the Warhound Titan. If instead I go charging up and try to tie up one of these dreadnoughts, then he's going to have to batter his way out of them before at least one of them make their way down here. And I would not want to charge the Warhound on my own. You would need to have a wingman with you, or you could be in trouble. So I think I'm going to sacrifice one of these squads of Rangers to go up and assault some of these dreadnoughts here to at least slow them down. So let's go on to the charge phase. So the heroes have finished their turn 2, and we are finally in combat with the Penitent Forge and the 13th. The Rangers come flying in here. Of course, they didn't do any damage at all, but this Contemptor with a multi-melter will not be firing next turn because he's locked in combat. He's got to fall back. And the other one, I've lost 4 guys. I lost 3 in close combat and 1 when it came to morale. The other one cannot go within an inch of an any moon model. So he will not be squeezing around. He's going to have to shoot his way through those Rangers to get deeper and deeper into the city and at the Warhound Titan. So that isn't going to happen anytime soon. That was quite successful. And other things that were successful, because we're playing a game where all the squads are at full, so 10-man squads and 9-man squads, they're full squads. There was a squad of Red Scorpions running along the trench here with the aggressors, and I put round after round after round into them. And I think they lost 7 or 8 models this turn. So when it came to the morale phase, the rest have fled off into the ruins. And then over here, the Chaplain and the Ironclad managed to clear away the Interceptor squad there. There is one, or Intercessor squad, there is one left, the Sergeant, who is engaged in close combat with the Chaplain. There's a Banner Bearer, there's an Ancient there. So some of the guys that died got to fight back before they fell. With a Chapter Ancient, you roll a 4 up, and guys can fight back or shoot as if it was the shooting phase. So some extra attacks there, some niceness coming in, but none of the niceness actually scratched the Ironclad. So there's some danger for the Blacktoad guys here. 10 Terminators on this side. Oh, I should have mentioned there's another 10 Terminators on this side. They made a crazy charge and killed the last Scout Sergeant there. In the battle for the fortress in the middle of the table, the 13th win. So we've got Terminators to the right of them, Terminators to the left of them, but I'm sure this Light Brigade will continue to charge forward. Let's go on to Blacktoad Studios turn 2.
Right, so turn 2 for the Scorpions and the Guard. So a general movement with the tanks here. The Salamanders pushed back, leaving the objective for the Terminators. The Honor Guard is spread out here. The Marine has fallen back from combat there. Dreadnoughts holding still. Basically, the tanks are moving along, leaving this objective over here for the Terminators and moving up. Demolishers and the Commissar moving towards the centre, pushing up towards the threat there, hopefully drawing some firepower. The Vendetta gunship here, doing a strafing run still, hopefully putting some shots into Titan to isolate that threat. Terminators moving up, still got a target to pick there, and the Rhino over here is moved up as well to control the middle perhaps, and over here the Dreadnoughts are just holding there. So, fair bit of movement. Some would say running away from Terminators, some would say just repositioning. So, we're going to move on to shooting now to see if we can kill off some of these traitors. Right, so turn to shooting for the Scorpions and the Guard. So starting over here, the Trojan enhanced the command tank here. The command tank then fired multi-melters and las cannons into the Dreadnought, which obviously is no more there. The Chaplain was then fired upon by several sources and wiped out there. But the main cannon here fired across the field into the Warhound, doing a little bit of damage there. We then use a stratagem overlapping fields of fire, which then give all units firing it from the Guard side +1 to hit, which you'd have thought would be enough. But the Vendetta fired, moved up, fired, one wound, one hit got through, wounded, and I think it was like 2 wounds, not much at all. But basically, following that, everything from the Guard that was in range fired over to the Warhound. Even with some Scorpion help from the Rhinos and the Dreadnoughts fired in, taking it all the way down to 3 wounds. So this beast is still alive and yeah, probably suffering quite a bit. Over here, these demolishers fired, both the demolish shots fired over into the robots there, killing off one of the robots. The heavy bolters kind of peppered this squad here, doing a little bit of damage. And over here as well, this Chimera and the Salamander fired heavy bolters over there, and I think it did 1 wound. Over across here, the Dreadnought fired over towards those Terminators, killing off 1 and doing another wound, and that was about it. We're going to move into Assault now, where the Scorpions are going to reap a bloody toll upon the traitors.
The good guys.
Bad guys. Turn to Assault for the Scorpions and Guard. So over here, Cullen and the other Dreadnought charged in and completely minced the Admech forces here and are slowly pushing up along the road here. Across the city here, the Terminators charged in here, doing a lot of wounds, wiping most of them out, and then consolidate into this squad. The squad fought back and wasn't able to do anything there. And that was it for Assault. So we're going to move on to turn 3 for the
good guys.
Debatably good guys.
Good guys. Here we are after the turn 3 movement phase for the Penitent Forge and the 13th, the good guys. And Trail Psalm and Benediction of Omniscience is in effect for my Canticle of the Omnissiah. That's re-rolling hit rolls of 1. Terminators moving forward. The only way for the Terminators is forward, right and left, either side of the Fortress of Redemption. The scouts staying there because they have objectives secured, and there's an objective there and an objective there which I could potentially jump on later into the game. So these Terminators have got their work cut out for them to put pressure on this flank, and there has been some shuffling down here. The Vanguard broke out of combat because I need to put shots into the Cataphractii Terminators. If I don't clear away these Cataphractii Terminators in this turn, then they could assault something else. So we have some movement, some screen for the Onagers that are down here. They are a greater threat to me than the Dreadnoughts or than the tanks right now. The Dying of the Light, my Warhound, is hitting on 5s. He's hitting on 5s now. He's on 3 wounds left. He might be in, well, he's going to go next turn. So I need to pick a couple of targets, blow them the crap up, and then hopefully the Onager Dune Crawlers, the castle back here, does some damage. Now, there is an objective under there. There's an objective there and there. So there is 3 down in the city or very close to the trench line of the city. And it's going to be a case of numbers. And with Cataphractii and Scouts and Dreadnoughts, and there's a lot of bodies back here. This is very open. And then there's 3, one by the Crashed Aquila, one by the fortress and one up there. Now, the Terminators are going to take a lot of shifting, but if I get those two, and the guys from Blacktoad get these two, which is looking increasingly likely, then it might come down to the fight in the center of the table. Okay, let's go on to the shooting phase. Another disappointing shooting phase for the Penitent Forge and the 13th. They killed 2 Russes. Basically, all 4 Onager Dunecrawlers fired in at the Punisher Layman Russ and didn't kill it. It took a couple more robots as well. It took the Titan firing at it to eventually take it down, even though I'm only hitting on 5s with that thing. That withstood a lot of shots, that tank commander. And the other Russ I took down was one of the demolishers that is beginning to transgress up the battle grid. As you can see, the Terminators took a complete pounding as well. There was Cataphren destroyers, there was quad bolters and thunderfire cannons, and the scouts. He's lost, that's the lone sergeant left there on his own, and my tech priest Dominus is about to go in and give him an omniscient axe to the face. So that was quite good. One of the scout sentinels in the background, or armor sentinels in the background, also died, and there was some tickling over here, but not a lot of tickling. Long story short, 2 Russes down, no Chimera down, scout sentinel down, and a bunch of Terminators died, and that was it. It was pitiful. It was not very good. So now I need to make this traitor, bad guy, Imperial Guard, these people who think they're red Scorpions, but really they're sons of Fulgrim, I think, and they've just painted these colours on their armour to make them feel better about themselves, because obviously Fulgrim likes pretty colours, right? So he paints red Scorpion stuff all over him because he knows that the red Scorpion's colours look much, much better than purple. So let's go on to the assault phase and kill them with my hammers. Here we are after the assault phase, which was pretty atrocious as well. Let's start off with the good news. After a bad shooting phase, I had a bad assault phase, except for the tech priest Dominus that managed to cut down that cataphracti Terminator sergeant and these scouts that hopped up from over there and took down the apothecary there. So that's 2 characters wiped out. That was good. Over here, only losing 2 Skitarii Vanguard to tie up this dreadnought. He won't be shooting, and again the other ones will need to shoot at them to move through, to come round. It's been a tried and tested tactic, that send in the wave, send in the wave. Tom thinks that's a really good tactic, right? You enjoy that?
I'm really enjoying it. My Cullen's just like, come on.
Yeah.
Good, I really accept it.
Tying them up and tying them up and tying them up. Now over here, I didn't kill anything with the Terminators. I did make some incredible charges though. We had an 10 or 11 inch charge into the Trojan? Salamander, and I took 2 wounds off of it. There's thunder hammers in there and everything. Just 2 damage off of it. Remember, that circular disc there. That's one of the objectives. But that's a command squad right next to me. And then over here, the other Terminator's making a heroic 11 inch charge straight at that Chimera. And I didn't kill that either. I did pile in to that Layman Russ to prevent that one there from shooting. So it won't be shooting. The Chimera won't be shooting. There's still 10 dudes inside that thing. But none of these transports cracked open. I guess I was lucky enough to get into combat to tie them up, to propel the Terminators that far across the battle grid. It would have been doubly lucky to wipe them out as well. So now we go into Blacktoad Studios. Turn 3. They are losing some of their heavy support. They are losing Layman Russes. And this is still on a knife edge. It is still on. How are you feeling, guys?
Confident. Yep.
Confident.
One dead time.
Right, turn 3 for the Imperial Guard and Red Scorpions, the true loyalists. So over here, Dreadnought's staying still, hopefully going to be putting some shots in to finally take out the Warhound there. The Disembark squad are now in the ruins as well, overlooking the Titan and the infantry squads surrounding them. The Layman Russ has pushed up slightly to be a bit of support to the scouts. Rhino advanced, Sentinels remain stationary. Now over in the centre, Demolisher is moved forward slightly towards that objective. The Commissar keeping cover behind there. The Vendetta has gone into hover mode and hopefully be putting some las cannon fire into the robots there to isolate them. Over here, the infantry squad have disembarked from the Chimera. Chimera is just pushing up 4 inches now. It's pretty crippled. And these guys remain stationary. The tank commanders push back to get out of combat. This tank has moved 12 Chimera. Still got people inside there. And this squad are kind of moved over slightly as well, kind of towards that squad of Marines and away from this squad of Terminators here. So we've got the Scout Salamander as well, pushed back as well, freeing them up to be shot at by this fantastic Dreadnought. And that is it. So potentially we can do some damage. We're heading towards this objective here. We've pretty much almost abandoned this one here, but we're going to see what we can do. So let's move into turn 3, shooting for the Guard and Scorpions, true loyalists. Turn 3 shooting for the Imperial Guard and the Red Scorpions. So over here, this big guy here fired everything he had in there, doing 1 casualty and inflicting 1 on the other Terminators. Moving across, pretty much everything we had over here fired into the Terminators, killing off 4 in that squad there. So hopefully that's enough to cause some damage after a cheeky bit of assault as well. So Demolisher as well fired in here. Over here, the Vendetta went in hover mode, fired 4 las cannons into the robots and had 3 mortal wounds dealt back at him. So Vendetta definitely is not getting model of the match for this one. Moving over here, we had the Lehman Russ as well, firing over there. Did a bit of damage, killing off... killed a robot. The Sentinels joined him. But the main thing to report, we all saw it coming. With only 3 wounds left, the Titan has gone. Initially, it did explode, but Winters used his last command point up wisely and re-rolled it. So everyone was pretty safe in this building, and a sigh of relief was heard throughout the 13th and the Penitent Forge. And that is it for our shooting. We're going to go into assault now and see what we can do to the Renegade Traitors.
Good guy.
Right, so turn 3 assault, and the Guardsmen charged in with the Chimera and the Champion there. Really, you know, the Guardsmen and Terminators were pretty much level pegged throughout, on par with one another. Although this guy here, the Champion, kind of below par, possibly first time with a power sword. It's a bit intimidating, and he lost 2 wounds. Except for that, no other wounds were dealt anywhere in this combat. It was terrible rolls everywhere, so that's holding on there. The Terminators have also done a morale check and are holding strong, even after losing 4 of their own. Moving across the battlefield, the only other assaults we had was Cullen and his buddy charged in here, killing most of the squad off, and there's still 2 of the Skitarii holding strong there.
Morale check here.
And a morale check in the centre for that
3
squad.
is 7, they hold.
They hold there. So, yeah, it's good stuff. It's getting gritty in the city. Small squads are left. And let's move on to see what the 13th can do.
Here we are after turn 4 for all the good guys, the Penitent Forge and the 13th. So Assault Terminators lining up to go into that Redemptor there. I've kept 2 at the back in this conga position here, because after they go wheeling into close combat to kill that thing, I intend to leave 2 close to that objective. So if that Salamander comes forward, I will outnumber him and score that objective. This one up here is going to be hotly contested. I'm very conscious that we're in turn 4 and soon going to be towards the end game. Yes, I've got a bunch of scouts with objective secured, and yes, I've kept them low down, out of line of fire from most things. But there is a full squad of conscripts in that Chimera.
Guardsmen.
Guardsmen. They might as well be conscripts against the 13th, to be honest. They're not going to last long. There's a Primaris Marine still left hidden, hiding, like the Red Scorpions do, behind the Fortress of Redemption. And then there's this killer squad of Honor Guard there that could go right or left. I wouldn't go this way towards those Hammer Terminators, but I think he wouldn't mind going in this way over here towards these normal Terminators and trying to take that objective off of me. So that is going to be interesting, that one there. Meanwhile, my Terminators are still locked up in assault with a Chimera, with a Champion, with those brave, humble Guardsmen there. So the centre of the board is looking hotly contested. I'm close to this objective. My Onager Dunecrawlers, the castle moving forward, of course, have healed the robot there. They have the Aegis protocol in effect. They can move and shoot. So he's back up to full wounds. And as you can see, along the trench line, there is bodies piling in the trench line. Two objectives in the city. One is there, and one is here. Now, they could get them, the Minotaurs, Red Scorpions and the Guards. They could get those two, which leaves these four to fight over. But they're still close to my line, so I could still pile through and try and get them if the shooting phase does well. The last couple of rounds, the Dunecrawlers fired sponges. This time I need to fire neutron lasers and take out these Guard tanks. Once those tanks are down, then it's going to be a turkey shoot on these infantry. So now it's time to pull the trigger. Okay, this is after the shooting phase. Nothing happened up this side of the table. Quite a bit happened down this side of the table. Basically, everything that could reach out and touch the unit, the objective secured unit of Red Scorpions inside that building there, nailed them. We're talking quad bolters and small arms fires here went in. And basically, it's impossible for him to pass the leadership test on that one lone Red Scorpion. He will be gone. And I killed 5 of the scouts back there as well with indirect fire from the Thunderfire cannon and from my scouts, my Snapper scouts, up in this building as well. So trying to whittle away the troops' choices here. I think that is a tactic. I've seen it in games sometimes. Belisarius Cawl got a good hit on this Vendetta. It's down to 4 wounds left, and then neutron lasers and Cognis Stubbers. I'm putting Cognis round after round after round into this Chimera because it's got 1 wound left. Didn't kill it. But the neutron lasers did kill one of the tanks in front, did kill one of the tanks behind. We had the first explosion amongst the Imperial Guard lines, considering the amount of armour they brought. The number of 6s that Dom has rolled has been 0, but now finally it's 1.
We don't carry much ammunition or fuel.
No, not much ammunition or fuel. When it blew up, it did take that Commissar all the way down to 1 wound left. And he could be trouble if he runs onto one of these objectives. You know, 1 Commissar, 1 Onager Dunecrawler, and suddenly that objective is not scored. So I can't have a Commissar running around on 1 wound left. But that's the end of my shooting phase. So now we look across the board. We've got the Dreadnought slightly out of position here. Well, not really out of position, because there is an objective down here that they can get to in 2 turns and score. And let's face it, they killed the Titan. So while they are deep in the city, they have achieved their mission. Taking out a god machine and taking an objective isn't a waste of forces. I've stayed away from them, to be honest. I've stayed away. So they're doing what they should be doing. We have 1 proper tank left. Oh no, there's another proper tank left over here. And a Vendetta, and that is pretty much it for the anti-armour for the Guard. Oh, tell a lie, there's also 2 Scout Sentinels back there. However, my castle's still strong. All 4 Dunecrawlers, that's a word, are all healed back up to full wounds, and the 2 Castellan robots are healed back up to the wounds. I've got a big footprint in the middle next to these 2 objectives here. I think they're secure, but it's going to be about these ones on the flank that will tip the balance of this game. Anyway, we've got some charges coming on. We've got this assault with the Terminators and the brave, humble Guardsmen in the middle. And we have Redemptor Dreadnought versus Hammer Terminators. And last time, they might have well been swinging Nerf bats. They did nothing. So this time, hopefully we can bring that beast down. Let's go on to the assault phase. Here we are after the assault phase. Enemy models. The bad guys are still left standing. The Redemptor managed to kill one of the assault Terminators, but he's down to 5 wounds left. And over here, I've cleared away a number of the Guardsmen. I put multiple attacks into that champion there, and he's still on 1 wound left as well. These guys are swinging for the fences, but not killing anything. I'm clearing my way through them, bit by bit. but not enough. And in the morale phase, lost a couple of scouts. There was an extra Space Marine in this ruins here. So the sergeant, who is still alive, and of course sergeants for Red Scorpions are an apothecary. So he's an apothecary chap there. He could pick up one of his buddies, and there would be 2 left. And then the last assault round here, the Contemptor cleared away those last 2 Rangers there. So it's difficult to say how this game is going to pan out. The boys have got a couple of turns to make the 13th and the Penitent Forge bleed. Let's go on to Blacktoad Studios, aka Bad Guys, turn 4.
Turn 4 movement for the true loyalists, Scorpions and Guard. So the command squad here with the chapter master. Did we upgrade him? Captain, are moving in towards this objective here, possibly to engage the Terminators. The engines here as well, disembarked from the Trojan, had a good advance roll and is over there. Moving across the battlefield, we have the remains of the armoured element are shifting along slightly to support the Vanquisher as he targets over here in the centre. The armoured Sentinels are in the trench line heading towards the Scouts. And the only other real movement around here, of course, we've got Cullen and his lads on tour. And they are over here at the moment, possibly targeting up here. We'll wait and see what happens. So there's a lot of shooting. Hopefully some of it will pay off and we're able to send these traitors back to hell.
You guys!
Turn 4 shooting for the Guard. So over here there were some heavy casualties because they took fire from the Vanquisher over there, being enhanced by the Trojan and the Salamander there. He fired in the Vanquisher cannon into one of them and blew it up, and a bit more damage on a second one. Also, when it did explode, it dealt out mortal wounds in every direction, which took out the Vendetta gunship, and also the Commissar who was hiding down here, he was taken out as well. Mortal wounds were handed out all across this section here. So 2 of the walkers have gone down, which is pretty impressive. Also say that Leman Russ fired in as well. The Scouts in the trench took a bit of fire, 1 casualty there. And also over here, we had the Dreadnoughts combining their firepower and taking out the quad bolters up here. So they've gone there. So quite a nice turn. Taking out 2 of the big things in the centre. The quad bolters obviously doing a lot of damage, and they're gone. One last thing, we had the Salamander that's hiding over in the corner, put some fire down here, knocking out one of the Scouts on the centre. So at the end it could be crucial, but we'll see. We're going to move on to assault now. We've got a few charges coming in, and let's see if the Scorpions and Guard are able to push the very slight advantage that they've achieved. Loyalists, by the way. Right, so turn 4 assault for the Red Scorpions and the Guard. Over here, everyone bundled in. The Chapter Master, the Ancient there, the Captain, Apothecary, even the engines here jumped in here. Killing off a couple of the Terminators. Unfortunately, the Chapter Master died, so the War Master has fallen over here. So that's given Winters another victory point there. Moving over, we then find ourselves in the centre, and it is still holding on just about. 2 guardsmen remain, 1 Terminator fell, and it's just holding on just about in the centre. And finally, the only other assault we had was over here. The Sentinels and a Rhino roared into the Scouts. No wounds were dealt anywhere, but at least it locked them up for a bit. So that is it. We're going to move on to turn 5 for Winters and his traitor Marines.
Here we are after turn 5 movement phase for the 13th and the Penitent Forge. I feel a bit brutalised. It's been a back and forth game. One way, then the other way, then the other way. And these guys, they are mean, okay? Oh, yeah. Well, that one in particular. No. Tom's all right. And this objective is definitely under the control of the Red Scorpions. But the 4 running down the middle, I've broken out my Scouts from combat, and I am controlling that objective with objective secured. So now I just need to kill everything around them. And there's also a unit of scouts tucked in down there, that apothecary there, a rhino, there's lots of guys. I'm on this objective. I'm on this objective. Of course, there was some healing going on as well. Call healed himself up. Castellan Robot healed himself up, or was healed. The scouts are bundled onto this objective, and this one down here is contested. So the right and left flanks are anyone's. Well, this one is definitely the Red Scorpions, but down the middle I have a footprint. I mean to make them bleed now, the traitors, the bad guys. And then, well, we'll see what happens in their turn. It's going to be close. I can't believe how close this is. So let's kill some traitors. End of the shooting phase for Winter's SEO, and it was another poor one. I did take out the Chimera in the middle. I was wondering about that zipping off to try and get objectives. But then I fired a lot of firepower, neutron lasers again, at the Rhino, at this squad of armoured sentinels. The Rhino's down to 3 wounds left. One of the armoured sentinels is gone. I really wanted that armour cleared away, so that there was to reduce the mobility, basically, of the Red Scorpions and the Cadians, the traitors. They think they're Cadians, but they're traitors. And that failed. I did put a wound on one of the scout snipers back there. I did clear off the apothecary who was up here. So I am clearing away some of the small arms. Some of the fire cannons firing indirectly have been very useful. And as discussed, I am on these 4 objectives here, but should have cleared away some of the armour. Just an apothecary, just a scout, just a sentinel, just not enough gun. So now we'll go into the assault phase and see if I can kill them with my fists. Calm down, filming. End of turn 5 for the good guys. And over here, the Redemptor Dreadnought has been demolished, as well as the Engine Seer, as well as the Warlord. I killed the Warlord last turn. That Sons of the Emperor's Children, wasn't it? Emperor's Children is your chapter.
Red Scorpions? And then I go then.
Purple Scorpions, he died. He came wheeling in because he thought he was a hard guy, but he got smashed with a Thunderhammer to the face, and he's gone. So my Assault Terminators, 5 of them bravely holding up this flank here. However, I think this objective will be clearly, all they have to do is run, basically run away from me, fall back, clamber onto that objective, and it will be theirs at the end of turn 5. This slapfest in the middle continues. We continue to throw fists back and forward at each other. I lost a Terminator, took out a Guardsman. That was about it. There are still 10 Chaos Cultists inside that Chimera there, who are working for the bad guys. But I'm clearly swarming all over this objective, and they're going to have to put a lot of DACA on there. Remember, it'll be moving out, and then they won't be within 3. And then if they nail it with firepower, and there's one guy left alive on top of that, I should get that one. This one I'll keep, this one I'll keep, but this one back here, very interesting. I tried to charge in the Scout Sentinel that I failed to kill in the shooting phase. So Dom wisely decided to overcharge his plasma gun and save me the trouble of having to get there because he blew up and took himself out. His coolant system malfunctioned. That's what happens with traitor weaponry. It's inferior. And
Trying to save you time.
That's it for the assault phase. That's it for the Penitent Forge and the 13th in turn 5. I'm currently holding on to 4 objectives. 5 objectives down that end, which one of them will definitely go. But 4 objectives. Now we go on to the bad guys. Turn 5. Alright, before we start the movement phase, Dom's come up with a tabletop tactic. Basically, this god of conscripts, the Imperial Cultists there, get out 3, then move, how far do they move? 6, and they need a 4 on the dice roll
hold the objectives.
to get objectives secured in there. 50-50 chance to steal this one. Here we go.
What are they going to do?
That's a 3. 1 inch away. No command points left.
No.
That's what happens when you pray to Horus instead of the Emperor. Right, this is turn 5 for Blacktoad Studios. We've decided to call it after this game. We've been playing for a very long time and it's incredibly close. I did have 4 objectives, but the Honor Guard squad, after seeing their warlord cut down, decided to advance round and they are on this objective. So the boys definitely have that one. And with the dreadnoughts down here, they have that one. So that's 2 objectives to my 4. We need 3 to 3. If it's 3 to 3, then we all have 9 points, plus they get a point for killing a Titan, I get a point for killing a Super Heavy, and I've got an extra point for killing the Warlord. So if I have 3 objectives and they have 3 objectives at the end of the game, I will win. And currently I control this objective, this objective, this objective, and this objective. I have 4. They need to knock me off 2. So there is a scout and a layman Russ within 3 inches of that objective there. They just need to rinse these scouts away. There's a rhino, there's a tank, there's these dreadnoughts. Some of them can draw line of fire on those scouts there, rinse them away. Then they can claim that objective. The only other thing they need to do then is they think that this is the next one to get, so rinse this objective. This vehicle's moving around, it's got a heavy flamer, that tank can throw some firepower in, and indeed this tank can throw some firepower in down towards the Fortress of Redemption. It is on a knife edge. Lots of moving, lots of debating, a large debate going on there, a massive debate, a mass debate. What's happening between these two boys. Now we're gone to the shooting phase. Okay, interrupting the shooting phase because these guys have cleared away the scouts of this objective, the Demolisher Cannon and the 2 dreadnoughts, and Cullen cleared away the Catavron Destroyer that was here. So they're cleared off that objective. The bad guys, the Imperial Guard and the Red Scorpions control 3 objectives. I control 3 objectives, that's 9 points each. 1 point each for killing a Titan. 10 points each, and I've slayed their warlord, slew their warlord, so I'm 1 point in the lead. It all comes down to clearing off this objective here. So we'll film this. You need to shoot, and you need to shoot big. Yeah. What's happening here?
So first one, heavy flamer.
Heavy flamer.
Firing in there, so D6, so 6.
6 shots, that's good.
Right, here we go. So freeze to wound. Right, so that's 5.
5 wounds. I am in cover. We're counting these as +1, so it's -1. I need 4s. I fell 3. 6 up, Iron Hands, Chapter Tactics.
Oh,
2 6s there. Only 1 fall so far.
Okay, so heavy bolter. Normally it'd be a 5, but it's a 4 because he's enhanced. So 2.
Yep.
And
2 more.
-1. So
2 more 4-ups.
Another one and a 6 up.
And a 6 up. Nope. 2 are dead. The morale phase could be a thing, you know. 3 have fallen so far. Now we have the Salamander scout vehicle.
So
firing across.
Hitting on 5. So we got the autocannon first. 2 shots. 1 hit.
1 hit. Nice.
3's
to win.
3's. So -1.
-1 +1. 4 up. Which I failed.
2 wounds.
2 damage.
So 1 dead. And the
4 down.
Heavy bolter.
3 to go.
So 2 hits. Then 3's. Nope, nothing.
3 left. 3 brave Marines left. And the only thing you got left to fire, I believe, is that
the
tank.
big boy. So
if he clears them away, you win.
To fire them to clear that objective off.
I mean, even if I destroy stuff in close combat, there's no way I'll be able to. The Terminators be able to consolidate onto there. We're calling it after this. If he clears them away, you win.
Here we go. So we're re-rolling.
Yep.
And he is hitting on 3's.
Yes.
So he's firing everything he's got up there. So 2 shots from the cannon.
Number of shots, 7 shots.
Oh no, it's a single shot. So
is it?
Yep.
It's a vanquisher.
Yeah. And anything but 1s.
Right, -3.
-3.
So if I roll 6s, because I have +1 to my cover save, vanquisher cannon coming in. No, taking the head off 2 of the Space Marines. That's 6 down, 1 left.
The highest on damage. So that's 6 wounds on the first one.
I'll just take it.
Yeah, go on.
One scout for the 13th left.
Hitting on a 3. Oh, it's gone under. That's a 4.
That's a 4. That's a 4. Winning on a
wound. Yep.
-3.
-3.
I need a 6. So no. How much damage? Because he has the
3 wounds.
Right, I need to roll 3 6s for Iron Hands Chapter Tactics, or it will be a win for the boys from Blacktoad.
Come on!
And this is the way the world ends. The Traitor Guard and the Red Scorpions clear out the Penitent Forge, leaving me with just 2 objectives left. But you now have 3. This one in the middle will be empty, and I'll hand the camera back. I've been hogging it to Dom and Tom. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one.
Cheers.
Right, so as you saw there, we managed to clear the traitor 13th.
Good guys.
Definite traitors. Off the last objective. And Winters, being the gentleman, decided to declare that us the winner, believing that the objectives were worth 3 points each. Unfortunately for us, they're only worth 1.
Woohoo!
So he's holding 2 objectives. He has killed our Super Heavy and also slayed our War Master. But we are holding 3 and we've killed 1 Super Heavy. So currently it is a draw and we've decided to call it there because we are honourable people at Blacktoad Studios, and Winters, you know, you've got to kind of help these people out a little bit. So it was a very fun game for myself. Winters, do you have our model of the match?
Model of the match? I don't know. I guess it's the Titan. I guess it's absorbed so much firepower, was able to throw it back out again. But this guy, he, with his ability to buff and let units re-roll, typically he's the model of the match. But I think I had 2 solid turns of the neutron lasers doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to give it to the Titan, the Warhound Titan.
The Warhound, which, yep.
The Dying of the Light.
Good times. For myself, it would probably be the Vanquisher over here. He survived throughout the game and handed out damage everywhere. And yeah, being one of the remaining Russes out of 10. Yeah, got to give it to him. Tom, yourself?
For me, it's going to be 3 models. It's going to be the Dreadnought.
I don't think you understand how model of the match works.
Count them as one. It's a Dreadnought little, band over there. He went up the left-hand side table and managed to clink off the last wounds on the Titan, and when it mattered. So,
yeah.
And also Cullen didn't die, so
yeah.
It's a plus to me.
Yeah, so good times. Cullen, I think it's the first time he survived all the way through. It's very nice of him. So, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this battle report. We would like to thank Winters for coming down. Winters?
Thank you very much for having me.
No, it's a privilege.
And the tea and the coffee and the bacon butties. It's lovely.
Yeah, good hosting. Right, so this is Tom, Dom and Winters. And we'll see you next time. Take care.